guys, welcome to episode 13 of A Cup of Positivity. This week on the show we have Sasha Saville as our guest. Sasha runs her own executive solutions business in which she provides services for busy entrepreneurs such as executive PA services, social media and communications, and even event management. As you can imagine, Sasha's business involves helping busy professionals reduce their workload and increase their productivity. So it's safe to say that she has a lot of plates spinning a lot of the time. Therefore, we talk about productivity tips, time management, tools she uses to help keep her on track, and general advice and tips on planning and setting KPIs. I really hope you find this episode useful, whether you're a business owner or even if you just want to know a bit more about staying organized within your day-to-day life. As usual, please don't forget to like, share, comment, and even feel free to contact me if you have any feedback. I hope you have your cup of tea ready to join us, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Hi Sasha, welcome to A Cup of Positivity. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I've got my 3 mint tea with me today. Have you got your cup of tea?
I have.
Ah, that's so cute and colourful.
My mummy mug.
Yeah, that's cute.
And I am drinking pucker, peppermint and licorice.
Oh, I've got pucker as well, but mine's 3 mint.
Nice, yes. I got hooked on these when I was pregnant because obviously I had to cut out the caffeine. So these I've been hooked since. So yeah, love pepper.
Okay, so if you could introduce yourself and then we'll just go from there.
Yeah, of course. I am Sasha. I own an executive solutions business. I work from home. I'm a mummy and a wife. And I have launched my business within the last 8 months. Since then, I was working in the corporate world for 15 years. I basically support entrepreneurs who are looking to scale their businesses, and they're at that point where they can't manage to do everything themselves, so they're looking to outsource. And the first thing that is outsourced is admin. So I not only help them with supporting in that element, but also how they can streamline and make their businesses a little bit more leaner and make their life a little bit more balanced, so they can have some of their time back. Because a lot of people like myself, who you start your own business, you put your everything into it and you just find yourself working in that business 24/7, obviously to get off the ground. But when you are at that point of having to scale and outsource, and you're able to get some of your time back, and I think that's really important, that you get the balance right.
Yeah. And just before we delve into your business that you're doing now, when you say you were in the corporate world for 15 years, what were you doing then?
Yeah, so I came out of school with A-levels. I didn't want to go to university, so I did an apprenticeship in business admin. And I started working in a construction company locally to me. There was an internal opportunity once I'd got my MVQ to work in the PR and comms department as a trainee. So I went for it. I thought, I'm really going to enjoy that. I like the sales and the marketing element of what I was doing already. So I since I got the job, and since then I was working in marketing and PR, or marketing and comms, I should say, rather than the PR element, for about 12 years. That company was acquired by an international brand. So I went from working for a very local contractor to an international contractor that was a turnover about 130 billion pound. So yeah, so the opportunities that I had going from a really small company into this massive corporate international business was phenomenal. I'm so grateful for everything, every opportunity that I had there. And I worked in comms and PR, and I worked with executive teams across the country, 3 executive teams, supporting them in PR and comms. I keep saying PR, sorry. It's not, it's comms and marketing for about probably 10 years. So I have, I sat on executive boards to feed into for the comms side. So I know what the expectations are, and I know how they work. And I also know how I needed to manage my time whilst doing that job, because I was spread so thinly across the northwest Midlands and down in London as well. So I had to spread my time quite in the week across that. So so I worked in that role, and I was just, I was traveling every day. I was on the road. I was on a plane, sometimes going over to France. I was in the car, on the train. And once my little one came along, it just got a bit too much. Found myself go on a train to London, because I live in the middle of Worcestershire countryside. So it's not really anywhere easy to get to anywhere. Our transport routes, you have to drive to get a train station or wherever you need to go. So I found myself on a train going down to London, really upset, like not wanting to do it. And that was not me, because I loved my job. But, my priorities had changed, and I wanted to be home with my little one. So I was like, something's got to give here. I need to do something else. So I came up with a decision that I was going to, I left that business to had a couple of months off, to be honest, and get my head around it. I just knew I didn't want to be traveling and doing that anymore. So that's where I am. I decided to launch an executive solutions business, and it's going really well. I've got really good clients, mainly in the property industry.
Okay.
To be fair, it's really weird. I've a lot of my marketing was been on social media, because I launched my business just at the beginning of lockdown. And funnily enough, the majority of them are through the property industry. So I've kind of kept my toe in the water there a bit.
Yeah. I suppose just because of the experience that you have you just attracted those kind of clients now?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I started an Instagram account, so it wasn't as if I already had connections in that industry through my Instagram account, at least. But obviously my LinkedIn, I've got thousands of people from across the years in that industry. So it may be a bit of both, but that's where I am today. So it's brought me lots of new connections. Obviously yourself, we've connected for quite a few months now, actually, haven't we, on Instagram? That's me, and I'm really enjoying be able to help smaller businesses to become just being more efficient, and the experience that I've gained over the last 15 years working with executive teams, and how they need to be leaner, and working with them on that process as really paying dividends and helping to relay that experience and support to my clients now.
Yeah. So aside from the industry, what type of people do you support? Are they like solo entrepreneurs or like one-man band, or are they like CEOs of corporations?
No, majority of the people that I work with are entrepreneurs, solopreneurs. You tend to find at the moment, I find that people who are big, corporates, they take on full-time staff, and that's not really, I don't want to be giving my full time to just one person. The idea is that I'm able to go and help as many people as I can to improve their business, and their success is my success. It's great that I can see them. The idea is that they can then obviously scale their business by implementing the processes and procedures, and obviously help them to delegate some of their work as well. I can take some of their work off them, but also, even if it's not, providing a PA service to them, I still help them to kind of put some new processes and procedures in place to become more leaner. And it's great to see them evolve and take on new clients and have some of their time back. One of my clients who I spoke to, he had his first day off in 4 years the other week. Throughout, I know it's mad, but he's got multiple 6-figure businesses. He's worked to get there, but it's time now for him to sit back and have some time. So he switched off, no phone, no internet, completely detoxed, no work for the day. And that's that is gave me such a buzz, and that's what I really strive for.
So what kind of stuff are your clients struggling with, and how do you help them?
It varies. A lot of them initially come to me because they know they need some help. They are at capacity. They're not able to scale their business because they are just inundated on doing absolutely everything. So the first thing that we look at is I do a time analysis of where they're spending their time. And a lot of the time 9 times out of 10, I would say they are so focused on operational side of things and pleasing their current clients. So their business is static. It's not scaling because they're providing a fantastic service for their current clients, but they're not focusing on marketing and developing. So we analyze their week or 2 weeks of their time and identify where we can make improvements. So whether it's outsourcing or automating some of the processes in there, things like the social media, or even managing that, it's using some tools like Asana or a project management tool that can just improve the process, improve them and make them a little bit less time consuming and easier. And then it's also how their week looks. So, they might actually have quite a balanced week. A third of their week is spent on marketing, a third of their week is spent on operations, and a third of their week is spent on maintenance and admin, which is really what a solopreneur should be spending, a third of their time. And if that is the case, we look at maybe how they are planning or scheduling their week. So sometimes their week could be all over the place. So in the morning they could be doing an interview with a client, then they'll go on to calls, then they would swap over to admin. The days were very, very bitty, and they jump from one thing to the next, and their brain would probably just be absolutely exhausted by the end of the day, purely because they're having to swap and change from one thing to another. Mm-hmm. So by putting in a really a structure to their week, so they are focusing on in hourly chunks, maybe the whole morning is dedicated to one thing and then the whole afternoon is dedicated to one thing. Their mind can stay focused. Obviously we plan in breaks in there because breaks are really important, but they're not jumping from one thing to the next, and making sure that task is then complete and they can forget it then for the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm. So I think one of the reasons why I follow you, or why I connected with you at the beginning, is because I've also been a corporate EA, both private and corporate actually, for about 7 years now. And I feel like I'm quite good at organizing other people's lives, but I really struggle prioritizing my own. Are you the same?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yes.
My husband always says to me, Sasha, why are you so organized at work? So, I never... obviously always make mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but I always seem on the ball at work, which you have to be. But I kind of get home and just think,
yeah.
Yeah, I suppose I've changed a little bit now. I'm a mum. I kind of have a priority. I mean, I had a dog before. We've got loads of animals.
Yeah.
But I have a little human to kind of keep alive now. So it's changed a little bit. But yeah, home. My home admin isn't great, I must admit, but I think do you know what? As long as it gets done and it's not causing you any stress. The problem is it's when you are stressing about it, or it's an issue for you. If you're not that worried about the fact that you've got a pile of paperwork that needs to be filed for your bills, as long as they're paid, that's fine. You can file it whenever you've got some time, in my eyes. But the main thing that I do is I obviously make time for family and not work.
Yeah.
The rest of it, I quite like the fact that work is so process driven, and it's which it has to be, and there's a reason for that. It needs to be able to make the most of my time. But when I'm not working, I kind of just like to go with the flow, and I like the difference in that.
Yeah. I think with me though, is because I work part-time, so I've got like that part of my week I can structure quite well and I know what I'm doing. But then obviously I've got my podcast. I also have my own social media platforms that I need to keep going, I keep on top of. And a lot of the time I'm finding that my work life is fine, but then my podcast takes a back seat, or my social media takes a back seat, and I've forgotten to do a story, or I haven't posted on Instagram for 5 days or whatever. And it's like, I kind of struggle to take those work aspects or organization skills into my own business, because surely you're also marketing your own business as well.
Yeah, so I do. I plan. So on a Friday afternoon, I kind of, I always try and keep Friday afternoons free to recap, reflect what's gone well, what hasn't gone well. And I always try and have a conversation on a Friday with clients. Not every client every Friday, but at least one or two, how it's going, how can we improve the process. So I have a bit of a reflection, and I also look at the week ahead, what I want to achieve. Because by the time Monday morning comes, I will have forgotten what I was thinking on the Friday night, without a doubt. So I put a very rough plan in place. I put time in. So I'll put every morning, I've got time for social media posts. Now, I don't plan my own social media. It's ad hoc, because you don't know what's going to be happening on the day. I don't know what's going to be thinking, but I just put half an hour in the morning to post or to create a video. I don't necessarily need to post it then. You can just collect that content for another time. Yeah, save it for another time. So it's always, every single day I have that in, and I also go in the afternoon to just check and my comments or my likes or engagement. And then again, everything is planned in, even to the half an hour lunch break I have, because I make sure I have that lunch break and take the dog for a walk. So yeah, it's a really hard to balance, but I suppose I block client time in, I block marketing time in, I block admin time in, and I just block in half an hour to 1 hour clock blocks, and my whole week looks like that. It's very similar to how I do my work with my clients. So yeah, I suppose do you kind of, are you able to identify do you know how long or how much time you need to allocate to your client each week?
Yeah, so I do have an allocated amount of hours that I do for each client, and I do actually plan out my week. Like, I time box everything.
Yeah,
but a lot of the time that just like changes throughout the week. If certain tasks come up, a lot of the time it's urgent tasks come up like at the last minute, so then my hours might change. And what always happens actually is that when the hours change, I then take away my time. So if I've got in the evening podcast time or social media time, that's always the first to go, because I always prioritize my clients.
Yeah. Do you have any contingency time in there? So
No.
for instance, so maybe that's what I always do. I always have 2 or 3 hours, maybe more a week, where there is white space in my diary.
Yeah.
And at the beginning of the week, there will be white space.
Mm-hmm.
Come a Wednesday, there probably won't be any white space for the next 2 days. I need to be accountable for every hour that I work, because I have my own business. However, I do think it's really important to have some white space in your diary and just put a bit of contingency in there at the beginning of the week, just for those flexibilities. And I know that you get up at a ridiculous time like me now. You're up before the birds now, because it's so dark at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And that helps, getting up early and starting your day, whether it's exercise or whether it's cleaning or whatever you're doing, and making sure you start on, right on time.
Yeah. I do like what you've mentioned earlier about reflecting, because I don't think I do that. I think what I do is I'm like, okay, this week's done, let's plan the next week. But I don't actually sit and reflect on the week and just think, okay, what did I achieve? What didn't I achieve? Why? What can I do better? So maybe that's a really important part of the process that I'm missing.
100%, because, going back to the people who you work for, your clients, those lastminute.coms, which we all have, if it's a regular occurrence, is that just the type of client that they are? Yeah. And I'm guessing you need to react straight away to those last minute requests. Yeah. I wondered if you could swap that round a bit. So instead of leaving the evenings free for podcasts,
do
podcast stuff in the morning, and in the evening you're kind of leaving it open for that, those lastminute.coms. So, instead of starting work at 9, you could start work at 10, and do the stuff first, leaving the evenings free for.
Yeah. I think it is just a process, isn't it? Just rejigging everything as you go. But without reflection, then I don't really know what I need to rejig. So yeah.
yeah. And it depends. I'm not sure who the clients are, but if it became a major issue, things you need to have a chat with them, because if you don't talk about it, nothing can be improved. So Yeah, I mean, the clients I work with, I know that I could have an open and honest conversation with them to say, look, maybe they would say, well, that issue, yeah, it's quite important, but it can wait till the morning. Or they just need to understand the impact that last minute request has on you.
Mm-hmm. And I know you mentioned time boxing, so I won't go into that again, but one of the things that I do want to mention on the podcast, because it was really helpful when I heard it on your webinar, is that time boxing your email time, because I never used to do that. I've started doing it from last week. This week just gone after your webinar.
Yeah.
Because I just had my notifications on for every email inbox. Considering I have 3 main inboxes for myself, I then have another like 4 or 5 in like other places, clients, etc. So yeah, can you just explain what that was about?
Of course, yeah. And it was all around distractions, and I call it the productivity killers. So the email 100% is the number one productivity killer. We have notifications on our watches now. We have them on our iPads, on our computers, on our phones. And it's not just emails, it's everything, notifications from social media, even text messages and WhatsApp. I have my clients, I'm in a lot of WhatsApp groups. I'd probably say 50 WhatsApp groups.
Wow. For
clients. My notifications are off. So when I allocate my time to that client, I then go in to read their messages on that WhatsApp group, on those WhatsApp groups. So yes, it's all around obviously distracting and becoming undistractable.
Yes.
And emails, yes, are 100% the number one distraction for anybody who works, in business. So first of all, turn your email notifications off without a doubt. It's a little bit different if you work so my sister-in-law, she works in a services department. So she deals with, her emails are pinging all the time because she has to react to repairs or whatever. But in our industry, turn them off and just schedule in time to read your emails. If it's something's really important, people will ring you.
Yeah.
And I manage about 15 inboxes at the moment. So I look at them first thing in the morning, I look at them at lunchtime, and I look at them at the end of the day. And then that obviously then allows me to focus on the work that I'm doing in between those times. Yeah. And I can go in, I can talk about emails all day, and how to manage them. But yeah, it's definitely the first thing I would do is remove the distraction.
Yeah.
And because you don't need half the emails that we receive, we don't need to know the information that it entails. We got copied in, we're in I don't know what the word is, the world that we live in now, people cover their backs by CCing people into everything, and half the emails, I have a rule in my emails, so anything that I'm copied into doesn't come into my inbox, it goes into another.
Oh, really?
Folder. Yeah, because I think if you CC'd into something, it's an FYI, isn't it?
Yeah. For
your information. Obviously, I go in and read them, but anything I'm CC'd into, I will read at a certain point in the day. I will go through them, but my initial priority is those that people send to me directly. I'm in the two bit.
Have you set that? Like, is that
you can set it as a rule in. So I use Outlook. So this is in my Outlook. This is my personal emails. Anything that I'm CC'd into, you can do it as a rule. I can show you how to do that. But It just goes into separate folders. And also one of my other clients, you can do that for anything. So she's just launching her own business, and she wants to kind of get all of her suppliers and her people that she's working with. She doesn't want them to go into her inbox. She wants them to automatically file. So rather than her manually filing them. So anything that comes in from a designer, say, just go straight into that folder. She can see that the emails come in, and because it's got a 1 by it.
Yeah.
But so it's automatically filed. There's so many ways with emails that you can reduce the time that you spend on them.
Yeah, I think in previous jobs, I've spent a lot of time filing emails, and then in the end, it's just pointless. You can always just search anyway for an email. So I've never really had to use that.
No, I do for some of my clients. One of my clients when I started working, then they had 14,000 emails in their inbox. Now, Yeah, I know. So I call it inbox anxiety, because if I open my emails to 14,000
No,
each
I
morning,
can't.
I'd be thinking, how on earth am I going to, well, what have I got to do? You wouldn't know what you've got to do that day, because in my eyes, the way I work is each email in your inbox requires an action.
Mm-hmm.
So, if I've got 5 in there, I think, right, I've got 5 things to do. So I just completely go in and cleanse that inbox, and I do file for them, just so, and then once that's done, it didn't take me that long, because you search, a lot of them were email marketing things that you can unsubscribe to, and I've just filed them in, so they have got a structure in place, and they can, especially if you have clients. So some of my clients aren't great at using computers. They're amazing at what they do, and they're amazing at running their businesses and their knowledge, and practicals. But technology is not their forte. We're not great at everything.
Yeah, one of my clients is like that.
Yeah, so for putting an email structure in place for them, it's easy for them to use.
So how do you? I know you say you organize your week out with you time box things, but how do you prioritize tasks, or do you just schedule in like different hours for different things?
So there's a lot of methods that you can use to prioritize. There's like an axis that you can use, and there's 4 boxes: non-important, important, urgent, non-urgent, and I can't even remember off the top of my head what they is now. It's a really good. I'll let you know if that's. I know you can put it in the show notes for your listeners if you wanted to. And you write down your to-do list, and you put each of those tasks into one of those boxes, and it tells you then what you need to do first, what then you need to do. And that's a really good way if you're not used to prioritizing. But I suppose it just comes with experience. Yeah. So I teach people how to use that grid. That's what I would recommend to anybody who struggles to prioritize. But yeah, I don't do it myself now, because I think I just able to, it just comes naturally after you've been doing it for so long.
And then what do you do when everything just completely goes out the window? Like when your whole plan just doesn't even work? And because I feel like when I watch a lot of your stories and see your posts, I just picture you as like this super organized person. And I'm there with like just everything everywhere.
Yeah. Well, a cup of tea solves everything, right?
Yeah.
Take a break. If it's going to pot and I really don't know, I'll just go out for a walk. I would down tools. I find, because stress is not going to help. I even take a cup of tea. So we live in the country, so we've got fields over there. Just take a cup of tea and have a walk with the dog. Yeah. Come back to your desk, and it's not that bad. There is always ways around things. And I think a lot of the time, if it all goes to pot and you're not going to be able to deliver, you could have a family emergency, or anything can happen, with work as well. So if you're not going to be able to deliver, and if something's not going to happen for that client, as soon as you can, just give them a call and say, look, this has happened. People are quite, people are lovely most of the time, and they're understandable. Yeah. And I think a lot of the time when we worry, and especially when we've got our own businesses and you want to deliver, and you think, I don't want to lose this client because something's happened, I'm not going to be able to deliver. 9 times out of 10, people are really nice and they understand. And as long as you're then able to deliver it the next time, or when you say you're going to, then it's absolutely fine. But I just, step away, take a breather, go for a walk, come back. It's not that bad. And, write everything down that you've got to do. And then even if it's on a Wednesday, things don't go to plan, I'll scrap what I've planned for the rest of the week, and I'll replan again. Okay, yeah. I'll take everything out of my diary, put it onto a piece of paper, and then reschedule. I always time block, whether I need to swap my days. If it changes in the morning, my day, I'm still blocking time in and scheduling, and even making sure that, I sometimes put my alarm on to make sure that I do that. Because your notifications, come up on your emails as well. So it depends how you use your diary, because for instance, I use everything is in my diary, absolutely everything, like birthdays, personal things that even to put the bin out is in my diary. Okay, yeah. Just so I can remember, because I just work from my diary to the T. But I do tend to take my notifications off my calendar as well, because of that fact. Everything's in my diary.
Right. Okay.
So I sometimes just set a timer on my phone to let me know that hour's up and need to move on to the next thing or wrap it up.
Okay. And I know there's a lot of people that are still working from home. And now I'm still probably 90% of the time working from home. And I actually struggled quite a lot with it at first, in terms of motivation and like that momentum. I think because I was so used to going into an office, having other people there, you're accountable to someone all the time. But when you're at home, you're not really accountable. How do you keep like your momentum going or your motivation going if you're working from home a lot of the time?
Yeah, well, I used to work from home before, because I used to do probably 2 days a week from home, especially when I was pregnant and working in the corporate world. I worked from home, so I wasn't a new thing when I started my business. However, you do find, you're thinking, I have got more. You feel like you've got so much time on your hands now you're at home.
Yeah.
However, scheduling is a major thing. You know the importance of each of those elements, and that feeling of getting to the end of the day and you've not done everything. And I try and keep that at the forefront of your mind. If you want to finish at 5 o'clock, you've got to stay focused. But also, I think it's having regular breaks, taking yourself away from that computer, because when you're in an office, people will come and have a chat. You'll go make a coffee, you'll have a chat. When you've got no one to chat to, so take yourself away from your computer. I think it's a Pomodoro effect that you meant to have after 25 minutes, go and have a 5-minute break.
Okay.
I don't break that often. I would probably break every hour or 2 hours, even if it's just to go and make a cup of tea or something like that. But break often, without a doubt, because disconnecting yourself from your workspace and your business has 100%. It has a great positive impact on the productivity of you and the business. I think it's just assessing the situation that you're in. So, when the kids are busy or they're running around, or don't work then. Work at a later time start work at 8 o'clock and do 2 hours, and you'll be so focused. You do not want to be feeling rushed and stressed at the end of that day. And that's kind of how I stay motivated.
I saw as well one of your Insta posts about measuring and tracking your progress. How do you track progress?
Yeah. So through KPIs. So I would have, how I measure all the time in my business, because how I know I'm having a positive effect on my clients is obviously these time analysis that we do we'll probably do those every 2 to 3 months, just to kind of keep a track of where they're spending their time, because the idea is that they are spending the majority of the time on income generating tasks rather than non-income generating tasks, because we want them to scale their businesses. So tracking that is probably the for my client side anyway, the number one tool that I use to measure. But for myself, I have targets I want to meet. I need to make sure that I am marketing my own business. So I post on LinkedIn once a week. I try and post on Instagram every day. I'm doing outreach. So I've just taken on somebody now to do my outreach for me on social media, because that was something that I wasn't spending my time on, which is so important, but I was focusing on operational stuff. So she did a few hours a week with me and just outreaching on Instagram and LinkedIn, just to start building those relationships with potentially new clients. So I make sure that I've set her KPIs that she needs to do 10 a day.
Okay,
and
wow.
it takes like 10 minutes, something like that. And then I would then go on and I would take on that conversation. I would then connect with them when they come back on to her initial message. So yeah, just set yourself some goals, some KPIs, and just track and make sure. Even it's on. I don't know. Do you journal, or
Yeah.
if you journal, it's very much the same as that. So at the end of the day, have I done this and have I done that? And you just tick it off, because in terms of the big things, so obviously it's revenue, the big thing that we measure in our business, but all these little things contribute to that. So actually that end goal, if you measure that day in, day out, it's not going to be moving too much. Whereas that if you're doing your outreach, if you've delivered for your client, then you are getting one step closer to achieving your goal, your revenue goal for that year.
Yeah. And is social media, do you class that as income producing activity, or is that just marketing?
No. So for me, anything that would generate any money for me, yes, it is. So for instance, it's me speaking to, once my VA, so to speak, has connected initially with somebody on social media, she's made that initial connection, she's done the search, she's done the hard work. If they are, interested in building a relationship, because it's not about selling, it's about building relationship, I will then go on, and have those conversations with them and start building those relationships. So in turn, yes, that will have an impact on my revenue. If it's, for instance, client work, yes, that has an impact on my revenue. However, there are some of those elements that I'm now going to be delegating down to my VA, because they are for my current clients. My current clients are happy as long as I monitor her work. Not obviously every day, you know what I mean. As long as I know that she's delivering to the level that I expect, then I can then allow myself time to have conversations on social media, or if it's phone calls, phone calls with potential new clients. Yeah. So social media, to answer your question, social media can be an income generating task.
And then do you use any platforms or apps or anything that you just can't live without, or that help you with like CRM or anything like that?
Yeah, so no, I don't have a CRM at the moment. My clients do. I use them for my clients every single day. I know the importance of them, but at the moment I haven't got one in place. I'm just using Excel. Eventually I know it's a really important tool that I will need to put into place, but I'm not at that level yet. To follow that journey, tools we use Toggle a lot, so we for tracking time.
Oh really? What's that? What is that?
So it's just it's an app that it's an app, and it's an online platform so for instance, if a client sets us a task, we then set the timer on Toggle, and it will then, when we finish that task, we stop it. We can then allocate that task to that client, and type in, what it was, social media outreach, for instance. And at the end of the month, when we go to invoice, we just print a report off for our clients, so they can see exactly what we've done for them and how long it's taking. And then obviously we invoice, whether it's on an ad hoc basis or on a retainer basis. They just know if they're, for instance, signed up to 20 hours a month, they know what we've been doing for those 20 hours. Canva, couldn't live without Canva.
I love Canva.
So historically I have used Adobe InDesign, which I love as well. It's a little bit more expensive, and I actually find that Canva, although it hasn't got the design capabilities as InDesign, Canva, for what we need to do in terms of social media, it's more, it's fantastic. And it's now got its own scheduling element as well. Can plan your content. So if you've got the Canva Pro, I think you've got a content planner, so you can create your graphic and then send it straight to your planner to post. It's really good, but I don't use that at the moment.
I do use Canva a lot for my Instagram stuff. And I've also used Photoshop as well. But like you say, obviously Photoshop is so in depth, like you can create stuff that's really unique to you, but it's so much more time consuming than just popping onto Canva.
Yeah, absolutely. It's time consuming, the same as InDesign. It's more technical to use, and obviously there's a cost element. If I have got InDesign at the moment, and for instance, my clients have, because I have got some graphic design background, I've designed some brochures using it, but 9 times out of 10 it's Canva. Capwing, have you heard of Capwing
No.
for videos? So if I am doing a video, a lot of the time on my socials I try and include subtitles on my videos, because I think it's 80% of videos on social media are viewed without any sound on. So Catwing, it's a online free with no watermarks on it, just a video, a short video editor, and you can also add subtitles free of charge as well. So that's quite useful, and you can quickly do it on your phone.
Yeah,
I think that's the majority of the time. That's what we use.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then, I always just finish off with a top three, which is just 3 questions, which are top 3. So, top 3 tips for anyone who really struggles with organizing their time.
Top three, organising your time. Okay, so make lists.
I love a list.
Make a list, to-do lists, but not only to-do lists, and you then convert those to-do lists into scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
So number 1, write a list. Number 2 is schedule. And I suppose the third one is always keep yourself accountable for doing it. So go back in and reflect on what you've done, and how you can always improve the process.
Top 3 tips for people who are demotivated working from home.
Right, yeah. Okay, so where are you working? Have a look at your surroundings. Now, my office at the moment I'm actually in the lounge because my office is really quite a dark space. I need to do some work in there. I haven't got the time to do it at the moment. So if I work in that office, I'm not as motivated. I'm looking out onto a tractor's just gone past. I'm looking out onto a field in a lane. I've got lovely, the sunlight's coming in. I've got my bunch of flowers. It just keeps me motivated. So the space that you're working in really does help. Regular breaks, without a doubt, and disconnect. So disconnect yourself from it's not just the breaks, it's making just completely downing tools and having an evening or a day when you are not thinking on doing any work, and then coming back to it. It just makes so much difference to your productivity and motivation.
And then top 3 tips for business owners who want to maximize their time.
Okay, so first of all, I would always analyze your time, see where you're spending time, and if you can move things around, block your time together. The second one, what can you automate? So what tools can you put in place that will automate some of those processes? And the third one would be, where you can, and if you are able to, is to delegate or outsource the tasks that are not having a direct impact on your revenue.
I think that is the hardest.
Yeah, it's a massive, and then obviously you get into the whole subject of delegation then, because it's an art in itself, and it's a skill that not many people get it right first time when delegating, because the idea is that you have found a professional that you can bring into your business, you delegate to them, you then need to focus on the stuff that you need to be focusing on. You don't want to be focusing on them, focus on those in revenue generating tasks. But people find it so hard not to go back and micromanage, because they've used to doing everything for their business. But if you don't focus on those tasks that you should be focusing on, you're not going to be generating more revenue, and the investment in that person is going to be pointless.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed that.
Did you get to even drink your cup of tea? I feel like I was just shooting questions at you.
No, I did drink all my tea.
Yeah, thank you so much. And then lastly is, how can people connect with you? And do you have anything coming up that you want the viewers to know about?
Okay, so my Instagram is sasha.saville, and they can find me on LinkedIn as well. And I do have a website, which is sashasaville.com. I am going to be running the webinar that you came on last week. I'm going to be running that again in the coming weeks. So that was all around reducing your workload, and in turn becoming more productive and in generating more revenue. So there was 3 things that we talked about how you can do that and implement actions that you can implement into your business straight away. So that's going to be coming up in probably the next week or 2.
Yeah.
So best place would be Instagram for watching out for that, and it's completely free.
And are you doing those webinars regularly then moving forward?
Possibly. So this is the second one that I'm going to be doing, and the first one obviously it was really well received. So the idea is I'm going to do initially another 2.
Okay.
So I'm going to do probably one on a Thursday lunchtime and a Sunday at about 4 p.m, just so it gives viewers different times and different days of the weeks if they can't make some of those times. Yeah. And then I love to doing them. I really enjoy the engagement, so I'm going to be, maybe not that topic, but I'll definitely be running more webinars in the future.
Awesome. Okay, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, lovely. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Martha.
Thank you. Bye.